You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live.
Hello, welcome to Claret and Blue Live. I'm Dan Ronaldson, joined by Matt Kendrick. Matt, how are you?
I'm all right. Must be big news if you've managed to dig me back out again.
I know, we've not seen you for a while, but the big news, of course, is Jack Grealish has signed a new 5-year deal. Massive news, isn't it?
It is major news, and we tried to kind of book the trend earlier in the summer, didn't we? When people were saying he's going to go, you know, this is the summer when he leaves. And listen, let's not get too carried away. Let's hope that doesn't still happen, and that Villa put a 5-year contract in front of him to double his fee. I don't think that'll be the case, but yeah, it's a massive boost for Aston Villa. It's a statement of intent. You know, Jack Grealish is going to be in the money, isn't he? Big time. He'll be able to buy some grown-up size shin pads at long last. 4 or 5, 6 weeks ago, however long it was, we did a big podcast, didn't we, talking about he's worth more to Villa than he is to anybody else in this world, because he could be the difference. And I know Villa are trying to kind of bolster that squad and trying to make a real kind of statement to get to that next level, next tier in the Premier League. But Jack Grealish could be the difference between Villa staying up again and going down, which is 100 million plus in the bank. So would Manchester United or any of these suitors have been convinced enough that Jack Grealish was the difference between them, you know, challenging for the title and winning the title? That's what they would have to do to cough up that cash. So it makes sense. You know, the one issue was whether Jack Grealish could play for England, still being at Villa. So that box has now been ticked off after Gareth Southgate's big book of excuses finally got him the call up. So yeah, it's brilliant news. I mean, what's I'm coming to this a bit late. What's Jack said about it himself, and what have Villa said?
So there's 2 quotes on the website from Christian Purslow and Jack Grealish. I'll start with Purslow. He says, "Jack is an emblem of our owner's vision for Aston Villa. He joined our club as a local boy aged 6 and has developed into one of the country's finest players, finally becoming a full England international last week. We are determined to build a top team around him and are delighted that he is extending his contract, committing himself to the club he loves." Jack Grealish said, "I'm delighted I won't do the accent. I'm delighted to make this commitment to Villa. It is my club, my home, and I'm very happy to be here. The owners have made it very clear to me how ambitious they are and how they want to build Aston Villa. These are exciting times ahead, and I'm very glad to be a part of it." Oh, it sounds exciting, doesn't it? It sends shivers down your spine, that.
Brilliant. I don't know who's written those quotes for them, but I think Christian Purslow has probably written his own, to be honest, and so has Jack, but they've nailed it, haven't they? You know, I know that you, Dan Ronaldson, have been very fond of tweeting pictures of Jack beaming, smiling at the training ground in recent weeks, saying, "Oh yeah, he looks really unhappy, doesn't he? You know, if Manchester United come and get me."
That's been the narrative the whole way through, though, hasn't it? It's from everyone outside Villa. It's there's all these rumours about, he's not even a Villa fan. He's a Man United fan, really. He can't wait to get out of there. Come and get me plea from Jack Grealish. It's just all nonsense, wasn't it? And that wasn't us and when we did that podcast, that wasn't us going, we know he's going to stay, so let's get ahead of the curve. Obviously not. That's what we all hope for. But the whole kind of, I can't wait to get out of Aston Villa, come and save me, Man United, that was nonsense all the way through. If he'd have gone to Man United, yes, that might have been the case. But there was never a doubt in my mind that Jack Grealish wants to leave Aston Villa and can't wait to get out of there.
Oh yeah, listen, let's full disclosure, let's not try and paint ourselves and our employer as kind of pure, you know, as the most pure, you know, in all of this, because we have had, you know, we know that it's been a massive talking point, the gossip and the rumours and the speculation, and you know, it's not without foundation that Manchester United were interested in Jack Grealish, not interested to the point that they'd cough up the money to make Villa want to part with him, but. Yeah, it is our place, me and you as Villa fans. I don't think that's any secret, but as local press to you know, put the side of Aston Villa across as well, and we did that in that podcast, saying what would he need to leave for? You know,
there's people in that podcast telling us we were clutching at straws a little bit.
The only one thing that Jack Grealish is going to be lacking by staying at Aston Villa. And let's hope this isn't the case when he ticks into the 4th and 5th year of that contract. But for the first couple of years, he's not going to be challenging for trophies, is he? He's not going to be, not challenge for the big trophies. He's not going to be challenging for Champions League football unless kind of, you know, unless there's the direction of travel speeds up a lot quicker. But everything else he can achieve. He can play for his country. He can be one of the best players on the Premier League stage. And more than that, he can be the main man at a football club who is. I mean, I thought that was a nice word from Purslow, to be honest, an emblem of what Villa are.
Yeah,
that's great. Jack Grealish is the poster boy for that. The fact he's kind of very marketable, along with that, he's brilliant. But he's epitomised what Aston Villa want to be in the last couple of years, in terms of turning them from kind of championship, mid-table also runs in the championship, to a team that believes that they do belong in the Premier League and that they can compete in the Premier League. So I think he can achieve most of his ambitions with Aston Villa. It's up to the people who run the football club now, and Dean Smith, who manages the football club, and those teammates alongside him, to try and convince him that over the course of those 5 years, that's going to be the peak of his career now. He's just turned 25. That takes him from 25 to 30. That's when Jack Grealish can be at his absolute maximum. So it's up to the people around him to prove that they can match his ambitions. And listen, if we are being cynical and blunt, which can be my way, then if Jack Grealish does decide into a year or two that Villa can't quite live up to his ambitions, Villa, from a business point of view, have been bang on in terms of protecting their asset.
You and me are going to do a proper sit-down season preview podcast tomorrow in person. So we'll get into all the nitty-gritty of the details of this 5-year deal. There's some things I want to ask you, but I don't want to do it all now, and I know you've got a meeting. We've also got James Rushton popped up into the call as well. So James, your thoughts on the news this afternoon?
I can't believe he's gone to Manchester United of all clubs. The best news, isn't it? Obviously, it doesn't mean transfer outwards is impossible. It just makes it, it just reassures us. I think Villa fans are looking for reassurance in the transfer market in terms of contracts. So good news all round.
There's a lot of people obviously overjoyed with the news, but the classic, like you just said, Matt, cynical Villa fans amongst us, people saying, will there be a release clause in this contract? Would Jack have agreed on a buyout clause? Because Villa will still stand by their 80, 90, 100 billion or whatever it is. Would that be something that gets written into a contract?
I wouldn't pretend, and we probably need to get a solicitor on the show to tell us the finer points of this. But a release clause now, who knows what would the market be like in 4 years? Do you know what I mean? It might be that Henry Lansbury has a kind of 200 million release clause in a year and a half and stuff like that. So I don't know. I've said this before, that I think Jack is held in enough esteem as a footballer and as a bloke, and has a good enough relationship with the management that, listen, I know where business is concerned, agents will probably insist on release clauses, but I think there's a grown up enough relationship there to be had that they will know at any given time when a bid comes in, they will know whether it values Jack Grealish as highly as Villa do.
Yeah.
I still don't think that's going to happen. Who knows if there's a release clause? Let's put that away till January.
I was going to say, you're talking about this story will come back next summer for the transfer window. It'll come back in a few weeks when the January window opens. Villa have had a bad start. He can't wait to leave. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, we're never going to know the ins and outs of any contract deal, because we've said it before. Then there's like very few full contracts that have ever been published in full. There's always release clauses, like that's just common, because it gives the players some leverage where they don't usually have that much leverage in terms of agreeing a deal elsewhere. So there will be some kind of, I guess there would be a release clause, probably be massive though. Like
there's going to be a few things weighted in Jack Grealish's favour, not least the pay rise, but for him to commit for 5 years. What? I think you're showing me ignorance here. How long did he have left on his existing deal? Does anybody know? A couple of years anyway.
Probably like 3 years, maybe.
I think it was 2023. Because I think it was a 5-year deal agreed in 2018. Right. So 2023 makes sense. So it's an extra 2 years, really, isn't it? It's not a new 4-year deal. It's like just 2 more years.
Can I be excused? I've got a dash for another meeting. I'll let you and James have a little natter if you want. But
you go and chat to Jack. Feedback later.
Yeah, I wish it was. I wish I did have any. Well, I don't want to talk about the level of importance, because I'll offend the person I'm speaking to now if I suggest they're in any way less important than Jack Grealish. I'll catch you later. All right, thanks all. It's a good news day. Take care.
See you soon, Matt. Bye-bye. Brutal reality of live stream. He's gone. He's out of here already.
Yeah, now we can discuss the real stuff.
People saying now, the flip side, you know how everyone's got to have a negative opinion to what's going on? People are now saying, and this is more so from an outside point of view, this shows that Jack Grealish has no ambition.
I think that's the argument, right? That's always going to be the case whenever a player agrees to a new deal. But look, like Matt said, this contract will have things that favour him, like an out clause. If he's not happy with the direction of the club, there'll be a set fee that a club can come in. It's a release clause. So, yeah, I think like it doesn't lock him down to the club for 5 years. It gives Villa security. It gives fans security, but it doesn't lock him down to the club for 5 years because there would be, I would assume, there would be a clause if his speaking outside of my Villa hat, right, taking my Villa hat off, if his reps are smart, they'd have put a clause in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have agreed to a new deal.
There's probably a relegation clause in there this time.
Absolutely.
I would have thought.
That'll be done. We won't be discussing that in March, though, because we'll be so far.
Oh, yeah.
Mate. Don't you worry.
I've got my eyes on the comments and I'm trying to kind of play devil's advocate on the other side of it. I absolutely don't even think a relegation clause is required this season anyway, because I don't think we'll go down, but that's a story for another day. So, yeah, what do you want to talk about first, James, since you're the guy that I'm going to ask your opinions of?
Got to speak about Burton Albion, haven't we? Like, that's one and done, isn't it? First competitive match of the season. I hope we do see Grealish. It'll be a shame because there's going to be no fans there, right? So this big day might be starting, like first competitive match of the season. It would have been an outcome that I guess some of us may not have expected. Grealish to be in a Villa shirt this season, so it's a bit of a downer. But like, you got to get through this. You got to get through this match. You got to progress. It's a competition Villa won last season. It's probably got to the final. Sorry, it's in dreamland there. It's a competition that Villa got to the final of last season. It's the best chance to win a trophy that they've got because other clubs, frankly, as we saw last season, don't take it seriously. So if Villa take it seriously, got to plot your path to this final. Best chance for silverware, in my opinion. Get it?
What would you do tonight in terms of team? Because it's almost like a pre-season, the final pre-season friendly, isn't it? Really for us to start the season with a cup game. Do you go traditionally weaker because it's a cup game, so you play some more of the reserve side, or do you just think, well, this is our final chance before we play? You know, is it 6 days? We play on Monday, don't we, against Sheffield United? So it's pretty much a full week before the next game. Do you just go full strength?
A bit half and half, a rotated team with, that's spine in. I probably want to see Grealish starting, if I'm honest. McGinn, Mings, the usual characters. But I'd like to see Keenan Davies probably get the start up front and maybe push Ollie Watkins out to the wing just for this one, because what's the point? Get a few rotation in. Watkins can start up front next. Give him the Premier League start. But this week, want to take it easy. Want to get Keenan Davies and see what he's about. See if he's improved over the summer. Don't take your foot off, but give other people a chance. This is what these matches are for. I mean, I see people say play the strongest team as possible. I'm in mind to agree, but I'm intrigued as someone who's curious. I want to see if Samata has developed. I want to see if Keenan Davis has got better. The answers are probably to those things might be no, but this is the chance to experiment a little bit, right?
I think you might see a couple of players maybe not even in the squad if there's moves close. If we've talked, haven't we, about the striker situation. Samata, Davis, one of those is probably going to end up leaving, whether that's a loan or a permanent move somewhere. If one of those isn't in the squad tonight, you might think that they're going towards the exit door, perhaps.
Yeah, and I guess youth players as well. I know we didn't see Louis Barry in the under-23s game, the 2 under-23s game, but to my knowledge, he's only played one official under-23s fixture since he's joined, and that's a start. He might be playing in the under-18s, which doesn't get as much coverage. So I'll be intrigued to see if he's in and around the squad, but I assume Mungo Bridge and Jacob Ramsey will be in because they have been in and around the first-team picture anyway. Yeah. They didn't start or play yesterday. I know it's different for Louis Bay, who may be involved with the under-18s. He might be in with a chance. We don't know because we assumed that he would be playing in the last 2 under-23s games, and he hasn't. So we have to see that. It's always you kind of throwing it up into the wind when it comes to youth players because Vasilev come out of nowhere. I know he did well in the under-23s, but he came out of nowhere to be put in the first-team picture because Villa were desperate. Villa aren't desperate now, are they? I don't get that feeling, Dan. So we'll have to see. I assume Mungo Bridge will be the most likely to be in and around, and Jake Ramsey as well. So we'll have to see.
What do we think about the latest Freddie Gilbert news? Because last week we talked about...
He got us last time.
Yeah, we talked about last week. There's rumours from L'Equipe. I still get it wrong.
You've got it. Yeah, you're fine.
That he might be leaving. He posts on Instagram saying, "No, happy at Villa. Fight for my place, etc." And then there's still been news since that post that we'd be open to offers for him. which a lot of the fans are looking at, going, "Why would you sell him? He's still young. He works hard. He fits the profile of the signing that we would go after. So why get rid of him?" And I know obviously Matty Cash comes in and takes his first team place, but I would prefer Cash and Gilbert to fight it out for a right back spot than Cash has got pretty much no threat from a 32-year-old El Mohammedi.
I think there's, in the opinion of Dean Smith, that Kane Kessler at fullback might be kicking on from the under-23, so that might be in his thinking. Not that you sell Gilbert, but that if a good offer comes in, you're not going to just chuck it away. It'd be silly.
We paid $5 million for him, didn't we? Well,
I don't know.
Off.
I really don't know. I remember him. He joined when we expected that we'd be in the Championship, right? He joined in January, so I'm not too sure. It wasn't that high. It's 5 million or under, but it wasn't a lot of money at all. And I feel like saying that you're open to offers isn't necessarily selling the player. And there's various degrees of truth. I don't think they've put Samatta on the transfer list, for example, and just went, see you Nyland, see you Gilbert, see you Samatta, because that'd be silly. But I assume if offers do come in for these players, these are the players Villa will be willing to listen for. And maybe get a bit of a bid going between them. So we'll see.
There's been a lot of talk from Sky Sports about Villa need to sell to buy, which pretty much every Villa fan out there looks at and goes, absolute nonsense from Sky. Don't know what they're talking about. But there is a lot of players on that list that you would like to move on if you can. Someone just put in the comments, you've got Engels potentially, Taylor, Elmo, Lansbury, Jota, Samatta, Keelan Davis, Neeland, Kalinic. There's a list of 6 or 7 players there that probably need to move on for the sake of their own careers as much as Villa's wage bill. Yeah. But if no one comes in with an offer that you like and isn't willing to pay the wages that Villa have offered them in years gone by, you're stuck with these players. Yeah,
so this sell to buy, in my thinking, Villa do need to sell to buy, but that isn't due to any financial concerns. It's because they need to shape the squad.
Well,
it's as simple as that. It's oversized. There's players who won't play, and they need to be moved on. As you said, for the best for their careers. Lansbury deserves to be playing wherever he can find a move. As with Scott Hogan, they've proved that they've done it at a certain level, and moves has fallen out of their way. But we'll have to see. This sell to buy, when you hear that, it doesn't mean Villa are in financial trouble. Yes, they have FFP concerns. Big in that FFP still exists, and it doesn't. People think that has been wiped out. It hasn't been wiped out. The sell to buy, it would just be over squad shape. That's it. Villa need to consider putting their attention on moving players out rather than buying is what I'd say. That's how you can take that sell to buy policy.
We've talked about Martinez, who will sign at some point before the first Premier League game. I don't know what's holding it up, but it pretty much from the Arsenal end that we've heard is basically done. Traoré from Lyon, is it also? I think he had a medical yesterday. That will get done as well at some point. After that, what else do Villa need? Or we talked just before Matt left us of how many more might come through. But what do we need? Do we need more first team players, or is it a case of replacing whoever we let go in terms of positions?
So, assuming that Kane Kessler can play left back as well as right back, I feel that Villa would have to focus on a midfielder, and that instance would rely on maybe waiting to see what develops in the transfer market to see if there is someone going on deadline day or one of their targets suddenly becomes available. Because you lost out on Weston McKennie, you've lost out on other players. You have to kind of then reassess. You can't compete with Juventus and other clubs in some markets. Whereas on deadline day, you might become a lot more of a Villa. I feel like Villa are an attractive proposition anyway for players. But when you get closer to deadline day, and as we see with Rashica and stuff, him kind of waiting on to see what's available to him, fair enough. But Villa have to concentrate on kind of shaping that squad, seeing what opportunities come available to them. And I feel like as you head towards deadline day, that number 8, that box-to-box midfielder might become suddenly available. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, I think the focus is going to be on shipping players out. I hope we see Rashica come in. I don't think we're going to see Benrahma at all to respond to a few questions. I feel like Benrahma is, from what I've seen, from what you've seen, the reports floating around, it hasn't been like that Watkins, like he's coming. Or like even Rashica, where there's a bit of back and forth. There's been nothing, and the focus in terms of media is him moving to other clubs. So
West Ham and Palace have been linked up now with Benrahma, London.
Doesn't look promising, but look, we'll have to wait on Rashica. It seems like it's just so much back and forth there between him, other clubs. Who knows? I mean, we said Ollie Watkins was going to be done. It took weeks. People were saying Ollie Watkins was going to happen in 48 hours. Weeks later, he still weren't at the club. We'll have to see.
One player potentially who's been speaking to press in that area is Emi Buendia, saying that, nothing happened yet. I'm still committed to Norwich. I'm here. I'll put my head down and carry on. I'd be very surprised if he was a Norwich player in the Championship next season. If the Ben Rama deal falls through, is he one that you might look towards instead? Because
I feel like
you look at him now and think, again, you'd say at the start of the season, start of the window, dead cert to leave, absolutely guaranteed he leaves Norwich. But here we are in the middle of September and he's still there. So 15, 20 million might get you mad.
you have to see. Out of all those, I said Buendia was the best one because people say, look, he don't have speed, he don't have pace, but he's beating people through dribbles and beating people through passing the ball. You don't need that explosive. You don't necessarily need that explosive pace that everyone always goes on about. I mean, Buendia for me, if I was in charge, he would have been number one, like over Rashica, over Ben Rama, maybe even over Watkins, because he did it at Premier League level for a club that was not even at the level. Norwich were nowhere near at the level they needed, and they had good players succeeding. You had Todd Cantwell still at the club starting in the Championship, who should be playing in the Premier League, and now you've got Buendia, who's he's going to move somewhere. Will it be Villa? I'm not sure, but I feel like he would have been my main guy. He's done it. He's done it at this level. He needs to take a step up. But yeah, clubs like Leeds, United, Arsenal kind of rumoured, and nothing has happened, that's odd. To me, that sticks out more so than Ben Rama, as this one is odd. Nothing's happening here. So I want to see Villa go in there.
I think we'll call it a day there, to be honest. We're only going to do a short episode anyway. A little bit about the Man United friendly. Did you watch it?
I watched the goal, man. I did buy it, and I was just I can't, because friendlies, you take positives from them. I don't take negatives from friendlies. A lot of people say Matty Cash was terrible, but we saw Chris Samba be like Franz Beckenbauer 3 years ago. You know what I mean? We saw Callum O'Hare literally doing Messi turns, he's taking people out in this game. Then nothing happens for him at the club, and not necessarily any fault of their own, but friendlies, I like to take positives and move on. A lot of people taking a lot of negatives. So the Ollie Watkins goal, peak Brentford goal, that is. That's goal he scores for Brentford. People saying he's not marked. That's what he does. He loses the marker. He was marked.
Yeah,
he was marked. Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he did all season. Look, he did it in a pre-season game. It's promising, but a lot of people are saying it's negative. Look, he wasn't even marked and he scored a goal. Matty Cash is getting hammered. Man, I don't take nothing from that. We were unbeaten all pre-season. Doesn't mean we're going to be unbeaten in the Premier League. But there's, again, all the negatives. The same goes for the positives as the negatives. We keep a lid on it. But, I'm a positive person, optimist. I like to take the optimistic things from it, which is a good Ollie Watkins goal, a good performance from Jed Steer as well.
Yeah, we peak Aston Villa to beat Arsenal, Man United and friendly, and then lose to Burton Albion tonight in a competitive fixture. So we'll have to wait and see. Put your neck on the line for prediction. Are we going to win tonight?
Yeah, man, 3-1.
Yeah, same. 2-0. Easy. Nice opener to the season, and then on to Sheffield United on Monday, which, they look rubbish against Wolves last night, by the way.
Yeah, even then, it's the same goes for these early Premier League games. Brighton looked all right against Chelsea. Does that mean they're going to get a Champions League place? Sheffield United were hammered by Wolves. Does that mean they're getting relegated? Nah, no chance. The league has to develop. You're going to get these averages kind of fold out. These first 8 games, always nothingness. You get nothingness out of this.
Unless you're sitting bottom of the table after those 8, in which case it's time to panic.
Yeah, but what I was going to say, Watford weren't they? They ended up getting relegated.
We'll call it a day there. Like I said at the start of this, me and Matt are doing a proper sit-down episode tomorrow to preview the season, give our predictions ahead of the season. We'll talk a little bit more about the Grealish deal in more depth, and also Villa's best 11 we're going to try and put together as well as things stand. So join us on the Current Blue podcast later this week. Probably Thursday for that, and you can also watch this episode back on YouTube if you've missed it, but we do these on Facebook Live whenever news breaks as well, so come over and like our Facebook page. The link of that will be in the description below. Thanks, James, for jumping on and joining me, and thanks to Matt, who also joined us earlier. Thanks everyone for the comments. Lots of comments coming through, lots of people happy about the Grealish deal, as are we, and yes, we'll be back later in the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, up the Villa!